Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for this panel. I'm Dr. Carie Forden, Chair of the Department of Psychology, and I'll be serving as the moderator. The purpose of today's campus conversation is to give the AUC community general updates as we wrap up the year. The conversation will include updates on the university's continued management of its response to COVID-19. It will also include a discussion of key initiatives and early budget plans for the upcoming year. As is customary, of course, there will be an opportunity to answer questions from the audience. We will first begin with brief updates from our panelists, and then I'll open the floor to questions from all of the attendees. To ask a question, you have several options. You can type your question in the Q&A, and then I can read it to the panelists so they can answer. You can also use the raise hand button on Zoom, and in that case, I'll call your name and give you access to speak, and then you unmute yourself with the mic, unmute your mic in order to speak. So those are the general instructions. Let me quickly introduce the panelists and we'll get started. Today we have President Ahmad Dallal. He'll have to leave after the first 30 minutes, so I'll leave a little bit of time after his opening statements for questions to him. We have the Provost Ehab Abdel-Rahman. We have Michelle Henry, who is the Acting Dean of Students. Shereen, the Vice President for Management and Operations. And Amir, Habib, the Associate Vice President for Finance and the Chief Financial Officer. So President Dallal, let's start with you.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Forden, for the introduction. And again, apologies in advance for having to leave in 30 minutes, but there is something urgent I need to attend to. This has been a very productive academic year, I think, with many important highlights and achievements by our faculty, by our students and staff. We also sadly lost several members of our community, including most recently AUC Junior Ali Al-Batati. All of the people we left, all the members of the community we lost will remain in our hearts and will always be a part of AUC. I also want to acknowledge all of the effort from everyone on campus to allow us to successfully complete our first academic year, which is fully face-to-face since the pandemic began. While all of us have become experts on Zoom, managing the transition and constantly changing guidelines has not been easy. So thanks to all of you, thanks to all of our staff who worked hard to ensure we can operate under COVID-19 guidelines. And of course, thank you to all of our faculty and students for their ability to adjust to so many changes. We're not completely over COVID. We have to be diligent, but it's clear, at least for now, that we will be able to operate under much lower restrictions, and this is the direction we're taking, but we will continue to monitor very closely. I think the Provost will address in more meaningful way some of the measures that we have taken and will be taking in the weeks to come. One of the many areas that the pandemic has brought into sharper focus in this last period is the need to prioritize mental health. There's been a rising recognition throughout university campuses all over the world of the need to work on mental health. And of course, this has only been accentuated during COVID and under the difficult conditions that COVID imposed. On Sunday, this last Sunday, we launched the university's mental health initiative. And as I said, during that launch, I'll be announcing the members of the mental health task force in the coming weeks, a task force that will be working on institution-wide systematic approach to addressing issues of mental health, whether it's assessment of our current situation, current environment as pertains to mental health, thinking systematically about cultural issue, general cultural issue, whether it's destigmatization, on to the types of programs that we could have and a communication strategy and so on issues related to mental health, and also proposing programs that we could have to enhance our approach to mental health, and then structural measures we can take, institutional structural measures to better serve our community, whether it's through the services that are available or through the policies that we have in place. I'm glad to see, of course, Professor Forden as our moderator today. We will need the important expertise of the faculty in our psychology department, as well as all the units that are in place that work to support wellness and mental health on campus. And we need to work together as a community. This is the priority. This is what I'll be working on the next couple of weeks, is to ensure that we have a task force that engages all segments of our community, and also works with the many individuals and members of our community who really want to contribute to this effort. We need to work together as a community to destigmatize mental health and build a strong institutional support system. Another important initiative we announced this year is AUC's Climate Change Initiative. We will be organizing a formal launch later this month in conjunction with the meeting of the Board of Trustees in June and towards the end of the month. We will organize a formal launch, and we expect our focus on this critically important area to grow over time. As you know, the university has areas of excellence, has been doing work on sustainability and climate solutions from very multiple different perspectives. And we're not only keen to support Egypt's current climate change agenda in advance of COP27, of course we are, and part of the reason behind this initiative is to contribute as well as we can to the efforts on the national level on this front. But we also want to leverage the research and contributions of our faculty to do our part in addressing one of the world's most pressing issues now, in advance of COP27 and beyond COP27 in our academic programming and in terms of our university-wide initiatives. This is also a time of the year when we prepare the budget for the next fiscal year for the approval of our Board of Trustees during the board meeting. This is the standard process. We recognize, and this is unique to the current budget, of course, the university faced, as well as the nation, has faced difficult times when it comes to devaluation, but we recognize that the current devaluation of the pound has placed a burden on our students and parents and on our staff, whose salaries are fully denominated in Egyptian pounds. So we're preparing a balanced budget with these considerations in mind: students, the impact on students, and the impact on staff. We are preparing a balanced budget. We know that we will have to create funds to support students who may need assistance. We also intend to make provisions for salary increases for all of our staff, especially those in the lower levels of the pay scale who are most affected by the devaluation. We know already we're working on a fixed increase in the salaries. Hopefully it's substantial and it will go some way in alleviating the impact of devaluation, but we will not know the amount of the additional support that we might be able to provide until later. But we intend to create a special provision. We will include in the current budget immediate support, immediate salary raises, and we'll create an emergency fund for supporting our students who cannot afford to pay the increase in tuition, and to support our, for additional support if we're able to, additional one-time support to the staff members who might need this support. So we're working very hard on this subject. We will not know the final results, of course, until the board approves the final budget, but we've been working very hard on the budget, and of course in coordination and full coordination with the board. The board has been appraised at every stage of our preparations, and hopefully we will have a good budget that we'll be able to announce immediately after the board meeting. Later this month, we will be bringing back an important university tradition as we celebrate the class of 2022. In a commencement ceremony, which will bring together all of our undergraduates and another with all of our master's graduates and PhD graduates, graduate students. So this year we will be doing the commencement as the university used to do in the past. We will be doing the commencement ceremonies, exercises combined, not in individual schools. We've had, of course, during COVID, we've had, including this last week, this current week actually, we've had to do these activities per one school at a time because we wanted to minimize the audiences because of COVID. Now we're back to the older tradition, and hopefully we'll have two successful ceremonies in June. This is an important milestone, and I congratulate, of course, the class of 2022 on all of their achievements. And last but not least, we have completed or are in the process of conducting a number of very important searches. As you've seen from the announcement by the provost, we've completed the search for a dean of the School of Global Affairs and Public Policy. Dean Nabil Fahmy is stepping down, has decided to step down after a remarkable career building and leading the school. We've selected through a very rigorous search process. We've selected a replacement, a leader to follow, to lead the school, and that is Dr. Noha Mekkawi. You've seen the announcement by the provost. If you haven't, please look it up. That's a great achievement. We are in an advanced stage in the search for hiring a vice president for advancement, for institutional advancement and alumni relations. That is again a very important search, and hopefully we will be able to conclude the search. I hope it's never done, and until it's done, but hopefully we'll be able to conclude the search before long and recruit a strong leader in this area. There are ongoing searches for an associate provost for enrollment management, and also for a dean of students. And these are extremely important searches, of course, and led by the provost and the search committees appointed by the provost. We're thankful to Dr. Michelle Henry for serving as an interim dean of students. She's already started making a difference in the way we do this work. And as I know, the provost we're extremely thankful to her contributions. These are some of the general developments that I wanted to share, because they are current things that we are either concluding or will be occupying us in the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thanks, President Dallal. We have one question from the audience, and that is, are there any plans to unfreeze the fixed term positions that have been suspended for a few years due to COVID?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Unfreeze the fixed term positions. Do you know, Ehab? Provost, I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think it's related to staff. I don't think we have freeze over fixed term positions. Amir? No, I don't think we have a freeze over.
No, we don't have a freeze.
Positions.
Yeah, it says university positions versus RA contracts.
What's that? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand either, but it sounds more like
I'm not aware of
like staff.
I mean, to put it differently, I'm not aware of a freeze. We're moving with hiring, in a judicious way, because we have to balance our budget. We had to be very careful, in recent weeks about our operating budget, because if we want to invest in our people and our staff and faculty, we have to be careful about, we have to realize institutional efficiencies, and there's been a really systematic, consistent amount of work in all units to do that. But there is no freeze. to my knowledge. I'm not sure what the reference is.
Okay. Another question came in, wondering if the proposed salary increase is in US dollars or Egyptian pounds, and is the increase, is there an increase being considered for faculty, or is the increase just for staff?
No, there is an increase for faculty, of course, as per the existing policy. And I think the existing policy, and correct me if I'm mistaken, Provost Abdel-Rahman, the existing policy is that the increase is in, it's a percentage of the salary. It's not as large, of course, as the staff increases, but it is denominated in Egyptian pounds. And that is also, I mean, the key is, as I've shared on multiple occasions with the Senate committees, and in earlier campus conversations, the two constituencies that are most affected by the devaluation are the staff whose salaries are fully denominated in Egyptian pounds, and the students whose tuitions are denominated in dollars, but their parents make their income in, or many of them, their parents make their income in Egyptian pounds. So this is the primary area of focus. We have salary increases, but and merit increases for the faculty, but the primary constituency that we are trying to address in terms of total dollar amounts, the amounts are probably comparable. But in terms of percentages, the percentages are much higher for the staff, and especially for the lower grades of the staff. It decreases with the increase in grade. It is significant regardless across the board. It's significant for increase for the staff because they're carrying the burden of, they're really shouldering the burden of devaluation. They're the ones who are most affected by devaluation. And we also will be creating a contingency fund so that within our student community, those students whose parents need time to adjust to the current realities and so on, we want to have a bridge sort of initiative. And in addition to our existing financial aid budget, which is significant, but in addition to that, we are creating a special fund to help people who need time to adjust to, who don't have the resources to pay the tuition. We don't want anyone to drop out of school because they don't have the resources. I mean, to put it simply. But of course, there will be, an additional increase for the faculty and over and above, as part of our fixed increases. It's not. So for the staff, there is a fixed increase, and then we will also, depending on how much funds we can generate for the contingency fund, we may have next year, but I don't know yet. We may have an additional one-time supplement for the staff. There is a fixed increase for faculty, smaller than the increase for, because, a significant portion of the faculty salaries is denominated in dollars. So they're less affected by this. I'm not saying they're not, of course, everyone is affected, but they're less affected than the staff. And the primary constituency that we need to address is the staff, and also by extension, the students.
It sounds like you're saying the increase will be for all staff levels, correct?
Yes, but different amounts.
Right.
So those who have the lower salaries, who really hit hard by the devaluation, will get a larger percentage. But the percentage across the board will be a significant percentage. I cannot, as of yet, say exactly what these percentages are. We are in conversation. We have a proposal. We need the board to approve it before we can announce it. But it will be significant.
And I assume the answer is similar to the next question, which is, what are the tuition fees going to look like for next semester? Probably you don't know yet.
No, the tuition fees are the same. We're not increasing tuition fees for sure. But even without an increase, the reality is, even if the tuition is not increasing, the reality is the parents who are making their income in Egyptian pounds will see an increase because, because the tuition is denominated in dollars. So this is why we're creating this fund. Some parents will be able to afford the increase. Different people are affected in different ways, depending on their jobs and so on. but we want to create a fund to ensure that those who are affected to the extent that the continuing education of their children will be jeopardized, that we are able to intervene and help them weather this transitional period for the next year. So this is the bottom line, but we're not increasing. Of course, we're not increasing tuitions.
Okay. Thanks. I also will finish up with the earlier question had a clarification. The person was talking about positions with benefits that they have been told have been frozen for a few years with no hiring, and instead that they're on RA contracts without benefits. This might be something more for the provost to answer, but that was the clarification of that.
As the president mentioned, I don't think we have a freeze on hiring on positions at EUC. And if RA contracts means research assistant contracts, EUC has had always still continue to have research assistant, and those are not hiring. Research assistants are temporary hire by the individual faculty in order to support them in their research. So if that's what RA means, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like there's situations where people are being hired as RAs instead of in a staff position or something, or a faculty position, but I'm not sure the specifics. So.
If that's happening, that should not happen. If someone, if any office needs 4 positions, there is a way to propose an additional position, subject, of course, to approvals, and we look at that all the time. But there is no freeze on positions at EUC.
Okay, thank you. Provost Abdel-Rahman, would you like to give your updates?
Yeah, thank you thank you very much. I would like to echo the president to thank our faculty, student, and staff for their commitment and agility as we work together to get through another year under the pandemic. We'll continue to learn lessons from our pandemic response, and we will not waste any opportunities to adapt positive changes we introduced during this time. Our Center of Learning and Teaching, which will be celebrating its 20th anniversary next year, continues to support enhancement in our teaching and learning in a post-pandemic environment. By the start of the fall semester, and that's very good news for everyone on campus, by the start of the fall semester, all of our classrooms will have dual delivery capability, putting us at much stronger position should we need to have that capacity in the future. Our plans for the summer and the fall 2022 are to return to full capacity, full face-to-face instruction, while we follow the approach around the world as it moves away from isolation and distancing to finding ways to continue to operate in a new reality. We will continue to review and update our responses and measures. Our COVID-19 Scientific Advisory Board is still in place, and we very much look to them to give us guidance on any changes that require modification in our approach. Currently, we're easing away from measures. We remain vigilant and retain our capacity to take any response that may be needed as circumstances evolve in the future. We learned a lot during this last few years. I believe the team now has more experience than we started the COVID-19 situation, and we can move even faster in the future. And we should continue to take more stricter measure or take more easier measures as we see the situation fit in the future. Finally, I really would like to echo the president to congratulate the class of 22. And I wish them and to wish everyone a restful summer. It has been a very hard few years, and everyone needs really a break. So please get rest, get ready for the fall semester, and looking to see you all on campus very soon.
Thank you, Provost. Michelle, would you like to speak as the Interim Dean of Students?
Thank you so much, Carie. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really happy to be joining my first campus conversation in my role as Interim Dean of Students. I've only been in this role for 2 weeks, very busy 2 weeks, but I'm really looking forward to working with all of the colleagues in this area of student life and across the campus, really, to ensure that we're giving our students the best support, the best service for their success and for ours. My focus is really to, play whatever part I can in fostering this culture of care that's been spoken about. I think this summer will be a really good opportunity for us all to look at some of the work that we've been doing that's still in progress and what more can be done to enhance that support and service for our students. I just wanted to reiterate for everyone that the Dean of Students office has many different sectors and is here, not just primarily for the students, but also to support members of our AUC community who are working with our students. So I'd like to invite anyone who has comments, suggestions, concerns, issues, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I have an open door policy. So, and in fact, we're going to be reinstituting for our students in particular, regular walk-in and Zoom sessions throughout the summer semester. So thank you very much.
Thank you. VP Shereen Chicker, would you like to speak, please?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So we're all very happy. I'm reiterating, very pleased with the successful completion of a full face-to-face semester without interruptions of having to go hybrid or having to go online. So that's really good news, as well as the completion of 4 very happy commencement events as well, which went very smooth. So we're also happy with that. We're getting ready. I mean, we'll be seeing relaxation of measures a little bit, as the provost has mentioned, over the next few weeks, but we remain flexible according to the conditions. We can either, now we've got the experience, we can either go a bit more, relaxed or a bit more aggressive, depending on the situation. Situation, thank God, now is better nationwide. So we are getting ready in a few weeks to see a little bit of more tendency towards relaxed measures. Our facilities team is getting ready and busy this week, setting up all the classrooms for the summer semester start. We're also we're removing some of the signage so the classrooms will be ready for use in the summer, and it will be, eliminating the social distancing. So we'll be back to normal in terms of classes, which is also good news. We are also, this is a happy summer without having to worry about COVID measures. So we're doing our projects that the projects that add more value to the campus. So we're working on upgrading some of the sections in the dorms and the on-campus dorms. We're also busy setting up the dual delivery classrooms that the provost had mentioned. All that construction work is going to be taking place throughout the summer. We are also working on the active learning spaces. We have a number of classrooms that we're also getting ready to do renovations in, with improved audio visuals and much better acoustics overall, and upgraded spaces for classes. We are also planning the regular maintenance type projects that take place every year. So those coming 8 weeks that's our focus basically in terms of facilities on campus. And wishing everybody a good summer, and for those who are starting the summer semester, a good summer semester. Thank you.
Thank you, VP Shaker. Amir Habib.
Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. So as Dr. Dallal mentioned, this is a time here when we are preparing for next year budget. So we are working now on finalizing our budget for next year in preparation for presentation to the Board of Trustees for approval. I would like to thank everyone who worked on preparing the budget this year to make sure we have a balanced budget while taking into account the consideration for student and staff paid in pounds. We had to carefully look at expenses and find ways to be more efficient and cut any unnecessary cost, which is an important exercise that we do each year. All of us, if I can say it this way, all of us have a responsibility to find ways to be more efficient in utilizing the university financial resources. Finally, our current budget assumption is based on not increasing tuition in USD terms. But as Dr. Dallal mentioned, of course, parents of students will see difference in EGP terms. This is why we have creating a contingency fund to be able to support students who need it. And from a timeline perspective, we have a scheduled finance committee in 2 weeks to review and recommend the budget assumption for the full board for approval during June board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have some additional, we can open up the questions for the audience. The first one that we have is that we're still asking people to wear masks in all indoor spaces. And even though there have been several emails that have gone out, there's still students and faculty who aren't abiding by the policy and refuse to wear the masks when asked. And it's frustrating. I guess this isn't exactly a question. It's an expression of frustration. But is there anybody who would like to comment on that?
Yeah,
point?
I can take this question. So most important really is wearing masks in elevators, in the buses, in the CIB bank, in the confined, let's say, and smaller areas where there's multiple people, where the contagion is the riskiest. In classrooms, it's still mandatory, and it will remain for the summer semester mandatory. However, yes, of course, if you're in an office alone, you don't need to wear a mask. And again, if some meetings, yes, you do go in and no one is masked, but we still we're still trying to leave a seat empty, etc. So it is not as aggressive as it is a few months ago, and that's where the relaxing the measures, yes, is happening. But there are some areas we don't want to relax the measures on, which are namely buses, elevators, classes, and things like the bank, the bookstore, the relatively smaller areas where multiple people are there. So that's basically where we stand.
Yeah, I think the problem being expressed in that comment is that the lack of enforcement. Like we kind of came back from Ramadan and everybody took off their masks. So I don't know if anybody can speak to improve. It's going to probably be worse given everybody's relaxing more. So how do we enforce this? I think is the question, or the frustration that's expressed there.
I don't really have a very good answer for enforcement, if I have to be honest. Outdoors, we're not requiring outdoors. Indoors, classrooms, we are requiring it for the number of students involved and all of that. And in meeting areas, it's a mix depending on the number and if we're leaving a seat empty or not. I think it will remain like that for a while, unless the situation gets worse, and we have to really try to think harder on enforcements and ways that will, successfully enforce. But for the time being, I think we are relaxing in some way, of course. Outdoors, we're not even requiring it anymore, but I think it will remain a mix until, further notice. But in classrooms, again, mandatory, buses mandatory, elevators, and the smaller spaces mandatory.
Somebody also followed up with what about offices and face-to-face meetings?
Ideally, of course, if the meeting is multiple people, we still need to, out of respect for others, do wear it. If we are in a meeting, of 2 or 3 people and we have enough distance between it, I would say we are being more relaxed.
Okay. And another question was whether the self-check was going to be deactivated soon.
We're looking into eventually, of course, deactivating it. When exactly, we don't have a time set as of yet. So in the coming few weeks, we will be looking into that, but it remains in effect until further notice that we still need to do the health check.
Okay, thank you. Oh, somebody asked if masks were required for the commencements, the indoor ones.
They were required. Some of the commencements, some of the attendees, some sessions were adhered to more than others simply because of the reinforcement point that you brought up. So if I recall, and the provost can attest to that, the SSE, they refused to start without having, and they, from the podium, Dean Lutfi, stressed that everybody needs to put on the mask, otherwise he won't start. Other sessions were a bit more relaxed. So again, it depends on reinforcement, but they were required at the entry.
Thank you. One of the attendees asked, why are there late fees on tuition? Like anybody?
Amir?
Vice President
Yes,
Habib?
and I was reading the question, and because late fees is related to tuition payment deadlines. So I'm not quite sure about the question. If someone missed the deadline, there is a late fees. And I think the question needs some more of elaboration so we can answer correctly.
So to put it simply, also, Dr. Forden, the university has obligations, and we have to, collect money in order to spend the money. And if we don't collect the money on time, we're going to be also late on paying our obligations, and EUC cannot be late on paying its obligation. So late fees, actually, it's a way to discourage people from paying the tuition late. So please pay on time, and that way you will not be charged late fees.
I think the context is, it looks like they followed up, given the financial issues in Egypt. I guess the proposal is kind of, this is a way to soften that impact by eliminating the late fee.
I don't want to steal the light from Amir, but yes, we also, I think the university offer to students do a deferred payment, but it has to be scheduled. So people has to go and schedule those payment in advance. So if someone has a difficulty in paying the fees online, he has to contact the student accounts office in order to discuss with them a plan. So the university has different tools to accommodate requests from students when it comes to tuition.
Thank you. One of the attendees is asking, will the HR Excellence Award be revived, or has this program been suspended? It says currently the second round for fiscal year 2022 is to be confirmed. Is anybody on the panel able to answer that question?
Amir, do you have information? Unfortunately, we don't have anyone from the HR on this. So let me ask, I will ask the HR to update the website to tell the status of that to everyone.
Great, thanks. Let's see. Oh, somebody was asking for students that will be affected by the new exchange rate, how do they apply for the funds that have been mentioned?
This is going to be the same way students apply for financial aid. So they apply for financial aid through the financial aid office at the university.
Okay, thanks. Somebody's asking, will we keep, how long will we keep asking visitors to show vaccination certificates at the gate? I guess, Shereen, that's for you.
For now, we are still asking visitors to show their proof of vaccines. We're constantly revisiting the measures, and we have a task force, and we have the scientific committee that advises. We're looking at trends. We're looking at what's coming next. Throughout the summer, we'll be looking at and revisiting all these measures. But for now, we are still asking visitors to show vaccination proof.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up with the issue of the online capability that we've built. I know that Provost, you were talking about, when we come back to campus in person, starting to think about how to use our increased capacity for online learning in a formal way so that we can kind of move forward, very constructively. Is there any plans to look into that issue about how to integrate our online capabilities more now that we're back on campus?
Yes, definitely there is a plan to look into that the teaching and learning of the future at large, Dr. Forden, including how to offer online programs. Currently, we're increasing our online capabilities in extended education. That's the School of Continuing Education and Executive Education. We will start looking at academic programs at a later stage. And I think we need to have a whole community discussion about offering online program for our academic programs.
Thank you. Back to the issue of the COVID. Do vaccinated visitors still need to come onto campus with permission, or can they freely come on as long as they're vaccinated?
No, we still have to pre-register and get approval. So it's not a free just come to campus yet.
Okay. Somebody had a question that I'm not quite sure I understand, asking about the courses through HR that anybody in Egypt can take for free or with normal cost. I don't know if they're asking about the tuition, or I'm not sure what the question is there.
If I understand the question correctly, I think this is a question related to our HR diploma that we offer in our either School of Business or the School of Continuing Education. If that's the question, this is for a fee, and we offer it for a fee. It's not for free.
This is kind of a fun question. What are the measures being taken to look after the campus cats?
Okay, I'll take that one.
That's a tough one.
Okay, we had an issue especially during the COVID time when the campus was closed and there was no one to feed the cats, and the cats at the end weren't fed for a while and were poorly, let's say, managed and all of that. So in the last few, I would say in the last 6 months, we together with Student Life, we worked on those feeding stations. So we've allocated spots around campus, around the peripheries, not in the internal spaces, where we now have feeding stations. We jointly, get the cat food, and they are placed there. So the cats, and we're also, continuing with a vet, with a clinic that does the, that does all the immunizations and all of that, and vaccines for the cats, and they brought back to campus. So the situation is overall better because it's a balance between limiting the cats, not to reproduce and become a lot more cats. And on the other hand, the ones that are there, of course, they still need to be fed and taken care of. So so it's much better than what it was, let's say, during the COVID, especially when we were hybrid and shut down, etc. So that's pretty much the solution that we have right now.
There was a follow-up to that, pointing out that the feeding stations are often empty.
We can look into that one.
Okay. Somebody was asking if children will be allowed on campus again soon, and about the vaccination status for children.
Again, we haven't changed the guidelines in terms of, no, we're not yet allowing children on campus. However, as I said, the task force is still there, and we meet every week or two, and all these points we are revisiting as we go. So, hopefully as we start fall, I expect that a lot of those, things will be brought back. But we don't have, as of now, a big decision on reversing on visitors, children, and vaccination status.
And sort of along similar lines, when will we be allowing people from other universities to attend events on campus?
We do allow people from other universities and outside the university to attend the events on campus. There are few restrictions, like the size of the event, the number of the people, the venue. We have to take all of that into consideration, but we allow people from outside the university to attend events on campus.
And sorry, go back and forth. People, by the time they type in their answers or their questions, that we've moved on, but somebody asked to please remove the feeding station for cats at the bus that's at the bus gate for people who don't like cats.
We will look into the whole empty or
The
full.
whole cat. Oh yeah, somebody else is saying that the cats are very annoying. They're in the food court. Is there a way to take them off campus somehow?
The totally off-campus solution doesn't really work because, and this is scientifically speaking, once you take them out, there's a natural, cycle of things that you get back street cats right on campus in the place of those who left. So we've tried in the COVID year to remove them for a while, and we had an agreement with the shelter, which is, first of all, not very sustainable, but you get cats coming in from outside. So having at any point of time 0 cats on campus is not an objective we can reach. The best case scenario is to have a limited number of cats where they're clearly tagged and vaccinated and all, and not with no capability to reproduce, and have them not mal-fed, because that's when they go around hungry and everybody's not happy. So that's the balance that we want to strike. But we will never be able to have a 0 cats on campus status.
Yes, and somebody made the very good point that if you get rid of cats, you'll have rats. So
yeah, it's a whole cycle of life that happens whether we like it or not. So yes.
And then if you get rid of rats, I'm not sure what you'll have, but
we've managed, just to take credit for something, we've managed to limit the stray dogs on campus. We over the last few months, we've managed to close a lot of the open, the holes in the outer gates and the inner gates. So we are witnessing less stray dogs because that was also an issue that we were facing. So this one is improving.
I guess also you might think about discouraging people from feeding the cats, because I think part of the thing is they get very aggressive because people feed them.
Yes. We want to limit feeding to be at the feeding stations, correct.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? I think we're just about done with the questions. Are there any other questions from the audience? Let's check. Or any other comments that the panel would like to make?
I think there is a question about the dates of the HR diploma. I'm sorry, I don't remember them, but I am sure that the dates are on our website. So please visit the website, and I'm sure that you will find all the information. And if you don't, please email the School of Continuing Education, and I'm sure that they will also provide you with the needed information.
Yeah, it looks like he's looking for the link to the diploma. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the panel? I think everybody's very tired from a long year.
And it has been a very also tiring week because of the 3 commencement in a row. But really, it was really a pleasant experience to see our students walk on the stage and graduate and see the happiness in their eyes. This is what is university all about, is to graduate new generation, to lead the country and the world for a better situation. So we're really happy with that. And we cannot have done that without everyone on campus. I mean it, everyone on campus.
Okay, anybody else have a? I'd really like to thank the panel for coming today and answering questions. These campus conversations are so important to our sense of community, and for everybody, the transparency, and for everybody having an opportunity to understand what's going on. So I really appreciate your willingness to participate today and all the information that you shared. And then also thank you so much to the audience for attending today and being part of the community. And I wish everybody a very good and restful summer, and hopefully we come back refreshed and ready to start again.